morning. Happy Friday.
Morning.
All right.
Happy Friday.
Oh my God, we got a special guest today.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
And she's got coffee.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that iced coffee?
It's a little cold. Well, it was hot and now it's cold.
It was hot now. Okay. So there you go. So cheers. So I am very, 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 very excited for this day. Fridays are always my favorite day for many different reasons, but over the last 3 weeks, we've been having an agent spotlight. And this week, we are spotlighting a wonderful agent, Sache Tolliver. So welcome. Yeah.
Yes.
Sache, she is newer to real estate, and we wanted to spotlight you today because don't mind me because I have a special guest. He doesn't feel well. We want to spotlight you today because we see the hard work that you are putting in. An agent spotlight isn't just about someone who's doing the most production. There's multiple reasons why we want to spotlight an agent. You are doing the right activities in order to achieve success. And so why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit and let everybody know who you are.
Yeah. For those of you guys who've never seen my face, my name is Sache Tolliver. I am new to KW. Well, it's my rookie year. So I started with KW like the end of last year. So like this is really like my first year in real estate in my first 6 months. So it's been definitely a roller coaster ride, but it's been so good in the process.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm very fortunate. Like when you came on board, I was, we were in a transition, right? Without a team leader at the time. So I got to meet with you. And
you have one now, just saying.
Well, no, we were in the DJ. We wanted you, man.
I know.
We had to get you away from your other opportunities. So in the meantime, somebody had to fill that spot. But we're happy you're here, buddy. No more than me, trust me. But Sache, for you, it was, I remember when you were coming in. Tell people a little bit about your backstory, being an athlete and coming into this particular industry. Right. And you and I talked a little bit about this before, is that, coming from an athletic world, right? Athletic world is like you get one moment to do your sport, whatever that is. Like you're going to get to compete at this point, right? But it's all the days leading up to that. It's all the practices when you don't want to go. It's all the early morning. It's all the late nights. It's all it's like all the little things along the way build you up to compete that day. And I remember talking to you about that. I'm like, this is the same thing. Like it's the day in and day out grind. It's the monotonous, boring stuff, right? That you do every single day that leads you to the moment that you get to compete or you get to have that opportunity to showcase your skill, right? It's the same exact thing. So just kind of elaborate a little bit on your background coming in and how you felt now that you've been in it for this COVID 6 months.
So if we've never met, like I am damn near 6 foot. So my parents did every sport possible. I played basketball for the longest. That was just like the natural one. They were like, obviously she's going to play basketball, So I was an athlete my entire life. Growing up, I was always on a court, just doing something, always active. And you're so right, Jeremy. We did have this conversation where we talked about how athleticism and just being on a team and understanding that dynamic of sports really translates to everything, like everything that you do. And it's really, when it really comes down to is that discipline that you learn with team sports and those, those practices. I remember, being in high school, having 2-a-day practices before school, after school. So it was like, yeah, no, I don't want to get up before school. Like, I don't even want to get up to go to school, but like to have to do those practices and get up in the morning, go to school, practice again to like really hone down that craft. It's so important in every field that you do. So it's the same with real estate. You have to put in the time to understand that craft. And the only way that you can understand that craft is to put in that discipline to really learn that craft. So it's in every single job that I've ever done. And it's in real estate so heavily. It's like every day I'm like, I don't feel like doing it, but of course you have to do it. That's how you get, stuff done. So I 100% agree with you that, team sports have been so instrumental in the way that I look at everything.
Yeah, you said some really good things right there that I want to highlight. And I see Jeremy writing it down too, because I'm typing it into my phone. You said three things that stood out that I absolutely love, and being and how the being in athletics translates over to business and real estate, because there's so many similarities. You said discipline of waking up and going to practice, and hone your craft. And in order to hone your craft, you got to put in the time. So all of that leads to you being committed to actually getting better. That's what I hear. And as I'm writing, I know I see Jeremy writing. I'm like, I know he's thinking the same damn thing. And so for someone to be new in their career and to realize that there are so many similarities, I know if you're on that trajectory to a lot of success, and you just got to keep that going, and we're both very confident that you will. So what makes you want to be committed in what you do? Like, what makes you tick? What keeps you going?
That's a really great question. I think for me, it's just knowing that like everything revolves. I don't want to say everything revolves around me, because it sounds really inflated. But like I'm a one woman machine, you know, like everything that exists in my life depends on myself. And so like I don't have a family, I don't have children or anything like that. So I think that it's a little bit of a different dynamic. But when you know that like if I want to buy a house, I have to pay the mortgage on my own. I have to make sure it's like all of those little tiny mechanisms that come together. It's like that's all on me. So I have to make sure that like I'm doing my best work to make sure that my life can run as smoothly as possible. And so it's more of like seeing things beyond just the momentary, the momentary satisfaction. Of course, it's going to be more satisfying to sit in bed for another 30 minutes, but you look beyond that, you're like, well, that little 30 minutes every single day adds up. You're not going to pay your mortgage, those little things add up. So it's looking beyond like those momentary satisfaction moments and just thinking of like, okay, got to get work done.
Yes. And so, it goes back, and you're right, D, I have the same ones down: discipline, hone your craft, and do it when you don't want to, which is exactly what you said, right? I want to steal those 30 minutes and I want to take them to do nothing. But the truth is they do add up over time. Those 30 minutes over the next 5 days are hours, over the month are weeks, and over the month are, you know what I mean? Like they add up. So now because we are so excited because your name comes across our list of, right? You've taken your first listing, and let's give us the whole picture. You got the listing. Where did it come from? And I believe it's in escrow,
it's not in escrow yet. So
so you guys are counters. Okay.
They haven't accepted the counter offer yet. So
okay. So let's go back. So where did this client come from? What have you been doing? What have you been doing over these months through the pandemic to where here we are? And this is the biggest point, right? Is that we are in a constricted market. There are less houses on the market. There are less around. And here's somebody that has never done a transaction, that is to the business, and lo and behold, you're getting a transaction. Your business is growing, right? And so, what is it? What have you been doing, honing your craft? Where did this one come from, and where is it now?
As far as like what I've been doing, as far as like the routine of trying to get clients, I definitely focus a lot on social media. I definitely know that like that's where people are existing right now. So I'm really trying to like capture that audience. And then in terms of really learning my craft, I'm working a little bit more with like, cold calling and things like that. I think that just like being a little bit more well-rounded on the lead gen is a method that's probably going to work for me really well. With this client, I actually met them at Costco. It was really funny.
Met them at Costco. All right.
Yeah, it was super random. But I was getting a new phone, and it was this little conversation that turned into like, hey, here's my business card, and it actually was a property that was going to expire. So I think it, like, from the time that we talked, it had expired like less than a month later. So it was on the market for 6 months already. And so for me, it was like, I need to do my homework to figure out why this property isn't selling, like what is going on with this dynamic, doing that homework of figuring out like, what is it that this client needs and what are their motivations to really get this property sold. So that was definitely the way that I captured the client. And the last 6 months have just been a crazy roller coaster, right? COVID happened. And like I was kind of saying beforehand, it's both a blessing and a curse that COVID happened my first, my rookie year, because I feel like I have to jump through hurdles, which like everyone kind of has to in their first couple of years of real estate. But like, I feel like no one's going to be able to say that they got to jump through the COVID hurdle, and that to still get business during this time means that like you're doing the right steps and that you're getting the right results. And so I'm so excited and happy for this opportunity with this client.
Yes, it's as you
Write
should
it down.
be.
Hold on. Write those down, because there were 2 more golden points there.
Well, I didn't know. They're in my head. So,
okay.
But what I want to ask before we get into yours is, how did you start that conversation? You met him at Costco and you're getting a phone. How did it come up? Because obviously real estate came up.
Real estate did come up. I definitely tried to transition the conversation to real estate. I think he was trying to flirt a little bit, not gonna lie. He was talking about other stuff. He's like, "Oh, phone, like you got a new phone," and he was trying to leave like a number thing. And so I was like, "Oh, here's my business card if you have any real estate needs." And then he, was like, "Hey, actually, I do." So it was a very just like normal conversation, and I really just try to pivot it to real estate just to let him know like, hey, like not really that interested, but I wanted to just like kind of smooth it over.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I experienced it.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Well, good for you.
So the goal, right? When we talk to agents, and we did the agent panel earlier this week and things like that, we always look for the golden nuggets. And you said 2 things in that last transition, which were having well-rounded lead gen, which means I have multiple sources of lead gen. All my eggs aren't in just one basket, right? You said you're doing social media, so I think people need to understand that. That comes from a good 135 can do that, right? A GPS, but having just a couple, if not those 3 priorities of lead gen. So a well-rounded lead gen. And then I think you said something that kind of gets glossed over. We talk about it all the time, but even with this particular person on there, you said, I needed to find out the client's needs, motivation. And because now that allows you the opportunity to become or find or craft the solution, right? To see, you said, man, I needed to know why this didn't sell. I needed to see it, but I also needed to know what their needs and motivation were. I can do the work on the house, right? I can look at that. I can figure out what that looks like, but I also need to know what their needs and motivation are. So that again, Sache, is gold. Like, don't ever lose that. That is the key. And I would wager, again, just on the outside looking in, that's probably a huge reason why him making that transition to another agent. And now here we are, right? In a sense. And you do have an offer. This is the first time you're in a counter situation, right? So you can explain where you are with that and how you're learning and finding, because this is all new to you too, right? It's a learning curve. This is all new.
Yeah. So every step of this has been like, I get stressed kind of easily. So every step of it, I was like, oh my God, this is a lot. So it's been a lot of conversations to Denise for sure. And so we did get an offer on the property. And so it was a really good offer. And so it was just like looking through the offer. We actually had the offer broadcasted on our staff meeting in the morning. And so it was just like seeing other people's eyes on that. And like, they were like, wait, no, that's wrong. Like you should counter that. And so it was just having that team behind me. They were able to see things that I just like, a lot of it was like, what is even going on in these pages? But so many people who have like much more experience than me were like, wait, no, you don't want that. Like your seller doesn't want that. Like counter that, make it this way. And so they really helped me to see what's going on. And so now that we countered, I think that they really have to take their time to look at it, because they're like, wait, is this going to benefit me as well as a buyer? So they're taking their time a little bit, but we should know by today.
Well, I mean, congratulations. And again, that's our hope and goal, right? Is that everybody, we're a collective here. We are a team, right? We want you to understand that you have, and for everybody for that matter, that you have those things at your disposal. And the other side though is you're learning and growing through this, because one day you're going to be able to look back and have this conversation with a new agent, right? To go, oh, you know what? My first deal was like this. Let me help you, right? And that's the beauty of this, and what's really growing this organization. And, you know, Sache, we are just incredibly proud of you. We think the world of you. I mean, your grit and determination and perseverance, especially through this time. The backside of this, what you're learning through this, and what you're overcoming through a really tumultuous time in our country as a whole, but the things that you're able to persevere through to get transactions and to be there to help somebody, right? I mean, that's truly what you're doing. And man, just so proud of you. Just so happy to see it. And, you know,
so much.
Oh yeah, and I want to mention one last thing before we end this call, because my son is really whining. Is that Sache? You mentioned that it's up to you. It's up to you in order to get things done. So, well, I think on that note, I think we're good, right? Sache, any final words? Any final words? I'm gonna put myself on mute.
I just, I'm just so grateful that you guys allowed me to be on here. I love this in the Agent Spotlights. I like looking at everyone else's. It's so much fun. So I just appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for being such an awesome team. And everyone with KWVIP has been so helpful. Anyone that I've ever asked has been so available to help me. So I truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate you, Sache. You are amazing.
Yeah.
You're an amazing person. You're on your
Cheers.
way to be an amazing agent. Cheers. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, Sache. Thank you so much.
Nico's saying cheers too.
Awesome.